Tonight's guest works in one of the most high-pressure industries out there. When markets shift, when rates change, when families are making the biggest financial decisions of their lives, this guy's in the middle of it. He's a mortgage broker who's built a serious reputation in this space. And we're going to talk about what it actually takes to get to that level. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you my friend Sean Maloney.
Yeah.
Sean, my friend, it is my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's get started. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, anyone who might not know you.
All right, well, I'm the mortgage man.
Yeah.
Sean Maloney. Been doing mortgages now 11 years. Super exciting. And Westchester, I have an office out here. I got an office in Exton, got one in Collegeville. So, Chester County, Montgomery County. Southeastern Pennsylvania is where I do a lot of my business. PA, Jersey, Delaware, in and about in that area. But residential home loans, I'm your guy.
Awesome. So you've built a lot of relationships over the years doing this.
Yeah. Made tons of friends.
Yeah. So let me put it this way. You're not selling sneakers. You're helping people buy homes.
Yep.
How do you handle that level of responsibility?
With the team, it takes a village. It's myself, it's my assistants, my processor, the underwriter, the closer, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the insurance agent, title. There's a lot of people that come together to make this miracle happen that we call a home loan.
Right.
So it doesn't all fall on me. I surround myself with people who are better than me and smarter than me. You know what I mean? I'm the leader, right? I steer the ship, but it's a lot of people they're backing me up that know my job better than I know it myself. But I delegate. What can I say? I'm really good at delegating, and I have the right people in my corner. So it falls on all of our shoulders, and we carry the cross collectively.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been in this industry?
11 years now. So this is, I got licensed in May of 10 years, May of 2016, sorry. I started in 2015 when I was studying for my licensing exam, and then I got licensed in May of 2016, so 10 years.
Okay. In the beginning, this is a big undertaking. I know it's like an investment to get started in something like this. Talk to me about what it cost emotionally or financially in the beginning.
It was tough. So I had my first interviews. First one was 3 hours, second one was 3 hours, and then they told me I got the job. But what scared me was they were like, you're not getting any type of a salary. And they're like, if you don't close a deal, you don't make any money. And I was like, oh boy. So I had owned a landscaping business at this time, right? So I was used to having money, and I had an apartment in Westchester, and so I had to end my lease in Westchester, move home with my parents, and I lived with them for, I want to say, about a year. And luckily, they didn't charge me any rent. I didn't have a car payment. I really just had my cell phone bill at the time and insurance. And I was able to just live off of my savings before I started closing deals. So I got licensed in May. I think I closed my first deal a couple months later, June-ish, July or whatever. And then it took a while for me to start consistently closing deals. But yeah, financially, it was very tough. I was living off of my credit cards, maxing them out, and I didn't own any suits at the time. I couldn't afford any suits, so I went to Express and I opened up a credit card and bought $4,000 worth of suits, which at the time, back then, you can get a good amount. Nowadays, that's like one suit. But yeah, so financially it was tough. I have to say that mentally I was very apprehensive at first because I was like, man, what if I don't close deals? What if I'm no good at this? This is going to set me back. I'm 28 years old. Like what do I do? But everybody that I worked with at this company called Mortgage Network at the time, it doesn't exist anymore, they got bought out, but they were all very supportive. They're like, you got the personality for it, you got the rhythm, the flow, the intelligence, you're going to be great at this. Just, work hard. So I really changed my lifestyle from being like a night owl to going to sleep really early, waking up super early, going to the gym, making sure I was in the office, making sure I was in meetings, making sure I was working my social media, trying to generate referrals. And I have to say, a few months after I got licensed, I was up and running and I was closing deals, and it just all worked out the way that it was supposed to. So it was definitely, I was at a crossroads. I'm very happy with the decision that I made because I could have made a safe decision. I could have gotten a 9 to 5, or I could have gotten a sales job with a salary, made less money. But I decided, I was like, hey, let's see if I can sink or swim.
Sinkers. That actually transitioned perfectly to what I wanted to ask you. That's a big leap of faith. Mm-hmm. Was there a specific moment in your mind where you decided you were going to bet on yourself?
I have to say that after I passed my test, I felt so good because I was never a great test taker, to be honest with you. I really stopped hanging out with my friends. I stopped going out. Like I stopped drinking. I really focused for like 3 months heavily on this test. I treated it was the most important thing ever. I would go to sleep, wake up, study, gym, study, asking people questions. After I passed my test, I remember I clicked the button, little circle, boom, 84%, 85%, whatever it was, it passed. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Went out and celebrated that night, and then the next day, I remember that I woke up and I was just like, I really think that I can do this. They told me that passing the test was gonna be the hardest part of the entire thing. I was like, if I can do that, then I really think that I can do this. So at that point, I was like, I'm willing to gamble on myself. And my parents had fully supported me, and I was luckily in a situation where I could do it. And I was like, I'm gonna give this everything that I have.
Right. Did you say you owned a landscaping business?
Long time ago, way back when.
Really? So
Yeah.
you've always been in that entrepreneurial
It kind
mindset.
of just fell into it, to be honest with you. Once I graduated college, then I started landscaping, and then there was an opportunity to purchase into a landscaping business, and I did that for a little bit, and I just realized to myself, if you're working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you're only making $100,000 a year, imagine if you're working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing something where you can make $1 million a year. You know what I mean? So I got rid of that before I even knew I was going to get into mortgages. And at that point in time, I was just living off the money from the sale. And then I was just basically what can I do? So I started applying for jobs online, monster.com and Craigslist and LinkedIn and all those types of things. And I got a phone call one night, 10 o'clock at night, and it was like, hey, how would you like to be a mortgage loan officer? And I was like, I have no idea what that is. And the guy was like, meet me the next day at this bar. And I met him. We sat and talked for 3 hours. And he was like, I think you have what it takes, but you got to impress the regional manager, and he's a lot tougher. So then I had a call with him a couple days later on the phone, and he was like, welcome to the team. Buy a suit.
Buy a suit.
Because I didn't own any at the time.
$4,000 worth of.
I showed up to my first interview in a t-shirt and jeans and sneakers. I didn't know, man. I think I probably had dirt and mulch on me. I have no idea. But I'd have to say that I'm not the type to just punch a ticket. You know what I mean? I don't want there to be any ceiling to the amount of money I can make. I don't want. I want myself to be the only cap on what I can make. You know what I'm saying? My potential, my my work ethic, and everything like that. So it feels good that any given year I can make $100 million if I want to, or I can make zero. It's all on me. So what I put into it is what I get out of it, and I love that.
Right. So, at what point in your life did you realize you didn't just want to work a job and that you were more interested in building something?
That's a great question. So when I finished up college, I took a 9-to-5 job, and I did it for a year, and I was like, this is not for me. I was not being treated very well. I was not being duly compensated. I had a car payment. I had student loans. I had rent. I was drowning. I had to work at one point I was working 3 jobs just to make ends meet. My friends were all doing their 9-to-5s, going to happy hours, going to the beach on the weekend, partying, vacation and stuff, and I was like, this is not for me. You know what I mean? So I took a job where, after that, landscape, where I was making more money, had more flexibility with my time, and in the wintertime I could do whatever I want. I could do snow removal, or I could do nothing, right? But then over a period of time, I was just like, I don't know. There was a voice that was telling me, you should build something. I don't know what it is, but your destiny calls you, you know what I mean? And every single day it was like, you should build something of your own. You should build something of your own. So I have to say that it was always inside me to build something. And now I run my own branch, and I have employees underneath me, and I've built something, and it is expanding. I've tripled what I have, since I've come to this company, what I have started with. I've more than tripled it. And the goal is to grow more and more. There's a voice that keeps telling me, continue to go and push. You know what I mean? I'm not the type of person who's satisfied with just, being comfortable. I just want to keep going more and more and more. It's just God's calling for me. That's all I could say. It's definitely God's voice. And, the more that I make, the more that I give back.
That's awesome, man. So, for someone else who might be having cold feet, what advice would you give to them to just get started?
I'd say look inside yourself. Are you willing to face rejection? Are you willing to, have to have months where you decide what bills you're going to pay? Are you willing to really go through the tough times in order to get to financial freedom? And within financial freedom, then you can then help others that you love, or help, people that need help, or pay your bills, help your parents with their mortgage, help a homeless person on the street, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? My first 3 years were very tough. I almost quit actually in my 3rd year, just because I was just I'm really not gaining any traction. I'm hurting financially. I have roommates, and I'm in my 30s. It's tough. The first 3 years were definitely tough. I always was able to pay my bills, but like there were a few times where I'm just like late on like, cell phone bill and stuff like that. So the advice that I would say is look in yourself. Like, do you have the grit? Are you able to, do you have the humility? I had a call with, when I was really struggling, my dad's, one of his best friends, a fraternity brother, the guy made millions in Wall Street. He retired in his 50s. And he said to me, he said, you have to be humble to succeed in a job like this. And I didn't know what he meant until I was humbled by a job like this. And you have to have humility. Ego is going to kill you. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of people, they go up, they're egotistical, they go like this and they go like that. So look inside yourself. Do you have the humility to basically go to nothing and then potentially go up to, being something huge? You have to really be able to face a lot of adversity. And if you can, then you will slowly start to climb. And then after things compound, then, the sky is the limit.
Right. So consistency over a long period of time.
Yep.
Personally, how much of your success is skill versus consistency?
That's a great question. I don't know that I would call it skill. I just say I have a raw talent for connecting with people because I actually really care. You know what I mean? I'm not a robot with this stuff. I don't look at people as a number, like a unit or volume or anything like that. I don't count commissions. I look at everybody as like, hey, you're buying a home. This is where you're going to create memories. This is where you're going to go when there's a storm and you're going to be safe. This is where you're going to bring your first child home to. You know what I mean? So I don't know that I would call it skill. I would just say that I genuinely care about the people I work with, the people that work for me, the referral partners who their paycheck depends on them sending me their business. You know what I'm saying? So I would say consistency is everything. You go to the gym and you're consistent year over year, you're going to get in great shape, right? You're consistent within your diet, you're going to be healthy. You're consistent within how you treat people, whether it's poorly or great. Those are the types of relationships you're going to form and the responses that you get. So consistency is the most important thing anywhere in life. It's going to be working for you or against you. You can be consistently great or consistently terrible at anything, and you're going to get those results, and they're going to compound into bigger and bigger results, whether it's negative or positive, right? So I'd have to say consistency is probably the most important thing ever, and we're constantly consistent. We're consistent in everything that we do every single day, whether it's a good or bad thing. So I would say consistency is absolutely the most important thing. And then how you treat people, because I know some loan officers, I know some realtors, some people just in general, they look at it's just boom, quick, sale, done, get the check, move on to the next one. I treat people like people, I don't treat them like numbers. So I would say that if you want to call it a skill set, it's that, that I am an empath and I really care about people. And I think that people resonate with that, you know what I mean? I'm always kind and humble to people, and I treat them very well, and and it's an emotional thing buying a home, especially going through the financial pieces of it. I look at your credit, I look at your income, I look at your assets, stuff like that. So, they have to really trust me, and I want to show them that they can trust me. So I would say that the skill set, if I would define it, is a way to connect with people and earn their trust.
How do you cultivate trust? By
listening, as opposed to talking. I ask questions, I listen, I respond accordingly, sometimes with even more questions. I let them tell their story because everybody has their own unique story. There's no two applications that are the same, no two situations that are the same. Some people are going through a divorce, some people had a bankruptcy, some people had a foreclosure, some people had credit issues, some people lost a job, or some people are in a great situation. I listen and then I respond accordingly, and I hear what they're saying. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm reciting a script. Like, I process and then I respond, and I try to make sure that there is a connection there, so they know that I'm actually interested in them and their story, and I want to meet them at the settlement table. I want to see them successful within a home purchase.
Right. I heard a saying before. It was, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's pretty good.
That always stuck with me.
I like that.
So, just hypothetically speaking, say markets are getting volatile. How do you make sure your clients are staying calm in a situation like that?
Information. You arm people with information. Hey, here's where the rates are. Here's what's going on, and here's why the rates are doing what they're doing. Here's what the housing market looks like in the area that you're looking in. There's a lot of offers on these homes. People are going over asking. People are waiving inspections. People are paying transfer tax, paying commissions, whatever, what have you. Or, hey, this area, it's a little bit slower. You might be able to go in at asking and get some inspections. Or, hey, like this area, this house isn't moving. You know what I mean? Here's what to expect with interest rates. Here's what to expect with, guidelines going forward, or grant programs, stuff like that. I try to keep people calm. I feel like communication is the most important thing in any type of a relationship at all, ever. Like your friendship, your spouse, your family member, your client, whatever. I try to communicate and arm people with information so that way they know what I know and there's no ambiguity, there's no like what if scenarios, their brains don't spiral. They know as much as I know. I joke, I'm like, hey, by the time you get your mortgage, you're gonna have a master's degree in mortgages. They know everything that I know by the end of the process. I send them everything that I get on a daily basis. I make sure that they get that too. So they know what's going on with rates. They know what's going on with the bond market. They know what's going on with the housing market. So they are basically getting the same level of information that a branch manager is getting who's doing, $75+ million a year in business. So they're treated the same way that I am treated, from my company. And I feel like once you know everything about the environment that you're in, then you feel very comfortable with that environment.
Right. So just keeping them informed, keeping the lines of communication open. Yeah, it's really what I'm gathering is you like.
All right, guys, romaine tuna salad.
Oh, heck yeah.
2-piece Frenchie.
Dessert.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Have you ever had a deal fall apart at the last second?
Yes, I have. It's happened many times, sadly.
What did that teach you?
It teaches me. It's funny because each lesson is unique to that situation. What it teaches you is that that can happen, and a lot of people don't realize that, especially when people first get in the industry. Like, how could this have happened? I've had people spend all their money. I've had people lose their job or quit their job. I've had people back out and get cold feet last minute. Sadly to say that there has been things that have been missed on the underwriting side where it's like, we didn't know that you co-signed for this. There's a lot of different things that have come up. It doesn't happen often, but I can assure you when it does, it definitely sticks out. What it teaches you is, again, communication. Set the expectations up front. Like, hey, don't spend all your money that you need for the house.
Yeah.
Hey, keep your job, please. That'd be nice.
Keep your job.
That's a big thing. Hey, don't go buy a car the day before settlement. That's like the funny meme that people always talk about. But no, that's like the truth. Like it's don't go buy a car. Or the big one I'm seeing recently is Raymore and Flanagan. Everyone's like, oh, I opened up a credit card with Raymore and Flanagan and I put 20 grand on it, and I'm just like, okay, that's a hit to your credit. That hurts your debt to income ratio. So what it teaches you is that it can happen, and that you have to expect that can happen, and you cannot let that emotionally wear on you if that does happen, because then you will burn out in this industry. What it also teaches you is that you need a high level of communication to tell people don't do these things or do these things. You know what I'm saying? So it's real estate. There's no deal that is like so smooth that nothing happens at all. There's always little bump, huge bump, or sometimes the car goes off the road. But it's really what it teaches you is that you're in an industry that not everybody could do this job. Put it like that, because I remember when my first deal fell apart, this person stopped paying all of their bills when they went under contract. And then it got flagged in underwriting when we did the soft credit check right before settlement. Then we had to do a new hard credit check, and their score dropped into the 550s, and then we couldn't close the day of settlement. And wow.
The day of.
Yeah. I'm getting calls from the buyer's agent, the listing agent. Those people were selling their home and buying a home. Those people were selling their home and buying a home. People were calling my office. I mean, it was Thanksgiving Day of 2016, actually, that I found out that this happened. So we were supposed to close the next day. So it was the day before settlement, and I was just like, it ruined my Thanksgiving. And I was like, I can't believe that I'm going to have to deal with this on a regular basis. Now, if it happens, you figure out why it happened, you communicate to everybody, and you move on to the next deal. But
right.
I'm telling you, I remember I drove to my family's house in New Jersey, and I was just I had my head in my hands the entire time. It was just awful. It was the worst feeling in the world.
Oh,
and
man.
It's happened since then. It's going to continue to happen throughout my career. The more
Right.
deals you do, more stuff. Times you're going to run into stuff like that. But really what it teaches you got to, this one time this guy told me, it's not about how you deliver the good news, it's how well you deliver the bad news.
Okay.
And that was a lot of bad news that had to get delivered.
Right. Did you just mention that this job isn't for everyone?
Yeah, it absolutely is not for everybody.
So what kind of traits is someone going to require?
Well, you got to be a people person. That's for sure. I don't know, what's that DISC assessment or whatever? Maybe take that first and see if you actually like people.
What, the personality
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, that whole thing. They make everybody do that in Keller Williams. But make sure you like people. Make sure you care about people. Make sure that you're honest. Make sure you're humble. Make sure you're hardworking. Make sure that there is no ego, because I'm telling you, like my fourth year, things really took off. And I'd have to say my fifth year where I was just like at the top of the world, right? You know, I made tons of money, and it was just like, you know, flying, 20, 30 deals a month I was closing. I became very egotistical, and I was like, I'm better than everybody. And I hate to admit it, it's the truth. I think I became unbearable to a lot of people, just because I was like, I'm gonna make $1 million plus a year every year for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be the top loan officer in the world, and I'm so great, and da da da. And it was me, you know what I mean? Jesus was not in my heart. I filled my heart with money and things and possessions. So I started to repel a lot of people, and I cost myself a lot of business and friendships and relationships, and that was very humbling. And since then, I try my best all the time to be humble. So if you're an egotistical person, this is not the industry for you, because people will not resonate with you. They will not trust you. They will not want to work with you. They will not like you. And you know, you need to come off as somebody who is going to be, you know, a worker, and somebody who is going to serve, as opposed to take. You know what I'm saying? So those are a few of the traits that I would say. Ultimately, I know some people that are successful and they do things much differently than I do, and I know people that do things like I do and they're very successful. So I wouldn't say there's one size fits all, but if you're somebody who cares about people and you are willing to work like late nights, early mornings, weekends, stuff like that, I'd say that, you know, humility and strong work ethic are a really good basis for somebody who wants to get in this industry. There is a lot more to it than that, but that's really like a good foundation that you can build on.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that caring is a big theme.
Yep.
For sure. So what daily habits would you say separate an average broker from some of these top performers?
You know, I set up my entire next day the night before. No matter what time it is, I don't care if it's 8 o'clock at night, I don't care if it's 3 in the morning, I make a checklist of everything that needs to be done, and I write out a detailed description, like the name, the file, whatever it is. So organization is extremely important, and waking up knowing what you're going to do that day. They say there's like being reactionary versus time blocking.
Yeah.
So like, hey, from 8 to 9 a.m. I'm going to do this. I'd say most of the day I am very reactionary, but that's because I delegate the tasks that need to happen, and then as things come in, like, hey, I need a fee sheet and a pre-approval, I go do that because my assistants are doing the other things that I have delegated to them that have been time blocked, you know what I mean? So I can afford to be reactionary, whereas they time block and things need to be done within a certain period of time. So delegation is really important, organization. You know, I would have to say just like focus, you know, just being a focused individual, and almost like the servers that you have here, they come up. I'm always amazed when like the entire table orders, and me, you know, I order things, I change like everything around. You know what I mean? I'm like the king of special orders. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get the omelet, but and
Totally
then by the end, it's like not even an omelet anymore. So like then they go back there and they put the order in. I'm like, if they got this right, then I'm gonna be like so amazed right now. So with me, I kind of do something similar where like someone's like, I need an updated pre-approval, I need this, I need that, blah, blah. I put it all in the back of my head, I don't write it down, and then I boom, 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 get it all done. It's impressive, but memorization skills are like really important, because you can have, if you're really busy, you can have like 12 requests, like one after the other after the other. If you don't remember what needs to get done, it's like 7 o'clock, it's like, hey, I gotta submit this offer, like, and you just totally forgot, because trust me, I've done it before. It's not a good thing. So I would say discipline, and make sure that you know what you're doing on any given day. And even if your day is set to be reactionary and just like, hey, cut pre-approvals, get someone pre-approved, send out fee sheets, make sure a mortgage commitment goes out, whatever it is, just make sure that you have the day planned. And like that's the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be disciplined, and you know, like I said, work hard. Like I'll say that over and over again. Somebody who could be really good at this job, has the personality, has the looks, has the brains, all that stuff, they will be beaten by somebody who works harder than them. I'm telling you, I see it all the time. I see it in real estate especially. I see these worker bees where all they do is work. They're not particularly great at the job, but they do a lot of business just because they work so hard at it, as opposed to somebody who has all of the raw skill sets, all the God-given talents that they're wasting because they're not working hard at it and cultivating it and making it work for them. You know what I mean? So it's the work ethic,
Right.
If you just want to be good at anything in life, if you work hard at it, Larry Bird, 1,000 free throws every day before he would go to school.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? He said that he wasn't a good basketball player. He was obsessed with basketball. You know what I mean? He just loved it. He was obsessed with it. Just become obsessed with it. You know, I mean, most of my friends are real estate agents. You know, it's the people that I work with. It's like that's like my whole friend group. It's like I became obsessed with it, and I made it me. It's like it's who I am. It's written in my DNA. So if you really want to be in the top 1% of the top 1%, like it's what you eat, breathe, and live.
Right. I can attest that is your friend group, because I'm like the only one who isn't in real estate.
Right.
We'll be hanging out. You guys are just nerding out over real estate, and I'm just sitting over there just on my phone, just like whatever.
I was recently insulted, actually. So I was like, you don't actually have any friends. It's all just realtors. And I'm like, that's cool. They're actually a lot of fun to hang out with.
That's it. You're just surrounding yourself with those people. You're just so immersed.
But they become my best friends. You know what I mean? They become like family to me. Like some of these people, I'm like writing Christmas cards like mom, dad, brother, sister. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
awesome.
It's fine. I'm cool with it, man. I really love it because they're all entrepreneurs. And we are the sum total of the 5 people we spend the most time with, right? Everyone I spend time with are entrepreneurs. You know, I don't really hang out with anybody who works a 9 to 5. So it's an awesome thing, man. I love it. I love that all my friends are real estate agents because they all work so hard and they have ideas and they want to like build and start companies and buy houses and rent them or flip them or, you know, like it's constant idea sharing, you know, as opposed to like, hey, just went to the office, take your tie off, let's go get a drink, and let's forget about work until tomorrow.
Right.
We're thinking about work all the time, and then we go do fun, exciting things, like we go on these cool trips, or we go to concerts, or we go like hiking and stuff. Like we take our entrepreneurial imagination and skill set and creativity, and then we also put that into our social life too. It's awesome, man. I mean, I'm so blessed.
You really are, man. We are definitely blessed. I can agree with you on that. Well, Sean, I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been a pleasure. And God bless you. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
God bless you too, my brother.
Thank you, bro.